I just said there is misinformation from both sides.
Well, sorry.
No, I lived through COVID. Don't tell me there wasn't misinformation.
But there's a difference.
And now we've got to check in on the mainstream media because one of their heroes just got absolutely destroyed on Bill Maher. Joe Scarborough used to be a Republican a long time ago, but now he's a reliable mouthpiece for kind of the establishment liberal perspective or the Democratic, basically like establishment on MSNBC, and he was just on Real Time with Bill Maher over on HBO, who is a liberal, but is thoughtful and critical of his own side and pushes back a lot. And they just had this remarkable exchange that, to me, put on full display the kind of gaslighting we see from liberal MSNBC hosts, but then really revealed it for just how ignorant it truly is. Take a listen.
But it's just the attitude that I find scary, that they're far too willing to stifle freedoms, including speech, for the sake of safety or misinformation, sometimes, which is coming from everybody. It's, you know, no one has a monopoly on it. Or just power.
You're saying nobody
it's just
has
power.
a monopoly on it. Come on. That's some moral relativism right there.
I said nobody has a monopoly.
You said nobody has a monopoly on it, but that's like saying nobody has a monopoly on being a billionaire. He's got that monopoly up here. I mean, he's got more money than us. A lot more money than us. So,
I don't get the.
You don't get it?
I don't know what point you're making.
You're saying it's both sides, isn't it?
Well,
there is no doubt.
There's no misinformation.
There's some disinformation from the left, but comparing it to what Donald Trump spews out every day, every week, comparing it to what Elon Musk is spewing out, unfortunately, on X, you sound like Brett Stevens right now, with all due respect. It's a joke. That's a real time.
And you sound like him, who looks like Rachel Maddow. Or
you understand what I'm saying?
But I've never argued with that. I've never argued of a false equivalency. I just said there is misinformation from both sides.
Well,
no, I lived through COVID. Don't tell me there wasn't misinformation.
But there's a difference.
So Bill Maher just ate Joe Scarborough's lunch. He ate him up. He cooked him because it is absurd to suggest that, oh, the left barely does misinformation. It's all just the evil MAGA Republicans and Donald Trump and Elon Musk. Yeah, I will admit Trump says things regularly that are simply not true or are wildly speculative or have no basis in evidence. I mean, that's just kind of his thing. He's done it for a long time. I'm not a fan of it, and I've always criticized it. But to pretend that Democrats or the liberal media are somehow paragons of integrity and truth tellers and never spread false narratives or fake stories is to gaslight us. It is to insult our intelligence. It is to treat us as if we have been in a coma for the last 5 to 10 years, when on everything from the COVID pandemic and the efficacy of COVID vaccines and masks and lockdowns and school closures to the years of false or misleading narratives and stories about Russia controlling Trump that aired on his network, MSNBC. All of this and so much more. I mean, even that one was so extreme, the misinformation about Russia, that pollsters in 2018 reported that a majority of Democratic voters believed Putin had hacked the voting machines to change vote tallies to get Trump elected in 2016, something for which there is absolutely no evidence. So they fear-porned Americans into believing totally made-up nonsense, and then they have the audacity to sit there and claim, oh, the misinformation doesn't come from our side. Yes, it does, babe. It absolutely does. You need to read the shirt that I'm wearing today. Your Delulu is showing, okay? Now available in the merch store. Check out the link in the bio. And guys, the whole misinformation coming from the left thing is not like something, oh, it just happened a few years ago. No, it's constantly happening. Many people on the left falsely claimed that the Trump assassination attempt in Butler was staged or a hoax or fake, including an anchor even on his own network, MSNBC. Joy Reid implied in a TikTok that there was something shady about his injury. It was fake or potentially, even though the FBI had confirmed that he received a gunshot wound. So they spread insane fake conspiracies about Trump all the time on his own frickin' network and his own network's hosts on social media. Oh, and don't forget the thing where a bunch of people made and believed and spread a just totally fake rumor about how J.D. Vance had had sex with a couch. Now, some people shared it as a meme or a joke, but I'm telling you, a lot of people actually think that that's real, that that happened. Because again, the left spreads misinformation too. You don't even have to take my word for it. This has gotten so bad that this year, the New York Times released a headline called "Left-Wing Misinformation is Having a Moment." When even the New York Times, which is heavily liberal in its bias, points out that left-wingers are spreading misinformation, you know it's bad. So I'm not defending, fringe conservative media that spreads a lot of fake or misleading stories. I'm not defending the many untrue things that come out of Donald Trump's mouth, but to look us in the eye and tell us that it's mostly just them and this isn't a both sides issue is gaslighting, and I simply won't stand for it. So I'm so glad that Bill Maher still had the common sense, even though he's a liberal, still had the common sense to grill Joe Scarborough on this and point out just what a fraudulent and dishonest argument he was making. But what do you think? Do you agree that it's only the right that spreads misinformation? Let me know in the comments below.